There is, I think, 6 fire trucks,
Wow.
3
Yep.
ambulances, and a bunch of police cars. So that's how the morning of February 7th started, for sure.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Threefold Real Estate Investing Podcast. This is the podcast where you'll not only learn how you can achieve massive success in multifamily real estate investing, but also how you can simultaneously pursue great relationships with your family and a better walk with God. You can achieve financial freedom through real estate investing without sacrificing the relationships that mean the most to you. Now, here's your host, Lee Yoder.
Welcome back, Threefold listeners. I hope you're having a great week. We've got a fun episode today. My business partner, Kevin Waymire, is joining me today because we want to talk about a fire that we had at one of our properties and the months and months of work that we've been doing to bring that property back. And we've just learned a lot. This is our first fire. I think most people would say if you invest in rental property long enough, but certainly I think if you invest in apartments long enough, because you have so many people living in each one, that you're going to experience a fire. So Kevin and I can now join the club that has experienced a fire, and we don't want to just kind of bring you that experience and the lessons we've learned in case you encounter that yourselves with the rental property, then maybe you'll be a little better off because we told you all the lessons that we learned. So, but first of all, Kev, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me today. How's your summer treating you, man?
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Excited to be back on. It's always a pleasure. Summer's been great, man. We've had a lot going on, summer camps and traveling and things of that nature. So things have been pretty good.
Yeah. I just got back from a camping trip with my family. I know you and your son did some camping. So we've been out camping, enjoying God's beautiful creation. And then I know you guys took a trip up to Wisconsin and we were down in Florida. So yeah, definitely been a good summer with the family so far. Well, hey, let's jump in. So take us back, Kev, to February 7th. So on February 7th, we get a call again that we had never received a call like this before, but a lot of apartment investors have because it's kind of inevitable. But on February 7th, just tell me about the call that you received and then kind of how that day unfolded.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ironically enough, my son was home with us. He didn't have school that day. So he was working with me. Got a call around 10 o'clock in the morning from our property management company saying, hey, I'm on the way to the apartment. Wanted to let you know there had been a fire. When I get there, I'll give you a call, let you know what the status is. As I'm talking to him, he's pulling up to the apartment complex and he goes, actually, yep, you're going to need to get up here. I don't even need to go in. There is, I think, 6 fire trucks, 3 ambulances, and a bunch of police cars. So that's how the morning of February 7th started, for sure.
Yeah. So pretty quickly, no, this is legit. This is more than just, hey, somebody had a fire, so it got reported, but it was put out right away. It was like, no, this was more than that. Okay. So you headed up there. What's the scene like? What are you driving into or what are you walking into?
Yeah.
And kind of how did that unfold?
It's kind of like a little clip of a movie scene. I mean, you're going up there and it was actually hard for me to actually get into the property or to the property. They had all these roads blocked off. My son and I just told him, jump in the car, buckle up. You're going to see some interesting stuff at the age of 7 years old. So we walked up, we got there, we had to park about a block away, walk up. And as we were walking up, you could see all the fire trucks, police, everybody helping out. You could see the hose from the fire truck going through the front door. The fire was on the first floor in one of our corridors by the main entrance. Everybody, a lot of the residents were sitting there. Property management was there. Some of their techs were there. We were very lucky. One of the techs was actually doing a maintenance call, noticed the fire, the smell. So he was the one that was banging on all the doors, getting the residents out.
Yep. Clear out the building. Right.
Yeah. So as things kind of quickly unfolded, American Red Cross, they were actually there. They showed up and they played a big role on the day as well. Obviously, when you have a fire, the residents, power was shut down in certain corridors of the complex. Obviously, five of the units were severely, actually several of them, I think it was 12 actually, that were affected by power or something.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
hey, they need a place to go. They need a place to live. So American Red Cross set them up with hotels, gave them a small stipend for, food, clothing, things like that, because they weren't allowed back into their apartments until it was cleared by the fire marshal. So they played a major role, super helpful, helpful for us, helpful for our residents. To get them situated and comfortable quickly.
Man, what a wild day. I mean, I'm just remembering it
Yeah.
and hearing about it. I mean, you were the one that was on site. And I guess I'll just say, this is a 47 unit apartment building, kind of unique. Some people might own, it's pretty common to have a 48 unit apartment building. Seems like there's a lot of 48 units, but they're typically 4 12 unit buildings. This
Yep.
is 47 units in one building. So when you have a fire, that's a big negative. The more units you have under one roof, the more people are affected. I mean, every, all 47 residents, you need to get them all out. So everybody's, affected that way. Now that's small, but then, because power is affected to the building in certain parts of it, you're more likely to have more residents affected. So we had 12 that lost power and 12 that we're going to have to get out. This is in Kettering, a nice submarket of Dayton. It's a 47 unit that we've now owned for about a year. At the time we don't, more like 6 months, but the fire department there, I mean, did a great job putting it out. One thing that you don't necessarily think about is like, okay, you've got a fire, so there's going to be fire damage, but then when the fire department comes out and puts it out, you're going to have flood damage, right? Like that's what they do, is they flood the building. Luckily, like you mentioned, Kev, this was on the first floor, so concrete underneath the carpet and stuff. So that was a huge blessing versus second or third floor. I mean, you're going to flood everything underneath, right? So much water damage. So we were really fortunate there. Really neat how American Red Cross jumped into action, and like that's what they're there for. And so, they really helped out the residents. So let's talk about, I mean, that's kind of how the day unfolded. I mean, obviously you mentioned our property management company. They were out there very involved. They're the face of the property. They're the ones that the residents know. So it was so important to have them out there kind of controlling what's going on with the residents, answering questions. Hey, here's what it's going to look like, things like that. But what we started to realize, Kev, is this, it's not going back to normal in a day. We're not getting any of these 12 residents, these 12 units. So it's more than 12 people, but 12 units full of people. They're not getting back in this week. So it was kind of like one step at a time, like, okay, how are we going to handle this first week? And so tell us a little bit about that. What did the first week look like as far as the residents? And then maybe kind of starting to jump into time to call our insurance broker. We're going to be making a claim here, obviously.
Obviously, once you have all the information, you're going to get reports from the fire marshal, the power supply company, property management. There's a lot that happens in that first week, but most importantly, we got a hold of our insurance broker, which is Gallagher, our contacts here in Cincinnati. They were great to work with, obviously them brokering it out to another insurance company. So got a hold of them. The first week was really getting the adjuster out. So the adjuster came out, inspected a lot of the damage that was happening. We weren't allowed to touch really any of the damage because they needed photographs and documentation, and they needed to verify that this wasn't done on purpose, that this was accidental. Obviously this was purely accidental. One of the residents was just cooking with cooking oil. It ended up overflowing and starting the fire. That's how the fire started. So the adjuster comes out, they're looking, they're verifying everything that's happening. They're talking with the residents, verifying all the information that you're telling them is correct. Just to give you an idea, it's five apartments units were completely smoked out, burnt out. I mean, we ripped it down to the studs. I mean, ceilings, walls. I mean, there was nothing. I mean, concrete floor. I mean, we totally gutted an entire corridor, which was 2 bed, 1.5 bath, and 3 1 bed, 1 bath. I first started calling different companies that, hey, you do fire restoration, you do the cleanup. Our property management company came across Greater Dayton Construction, which is locally in Dayton now at Beaver Creek. And they came in and they said, nope, we're the one-stop shop. We'll clean it, we'll paint it, we'll put it back together. We'll do it all from, soup to nuts. And to be honest with you, They were our saving grace. They came out, they were able to tell us exactly what we needed to do, how to talk to the insurance company, what information we needed. They were able to supply a lot of the information. So week one was really like, okay, hey, let's develop a game plan and who we're using. And then let's go ahead, set that plan in place, and then work through the insurance company after that. So that's pretty much week one. It's pretty hectic. You're talking to a lot of residents.
Right.
They're asking when they can get back into their room. You're getting, you got to take a little bit on yourself. So you're calling, electricians and stuff like that. Hey, how do we get the power on? Is this part of the power damaged enough, or is it okay in your professional opinion? Then we had to get the city of Kettering out. They had to verify what the electrician said. Basically 7 people or 7 units that were vacant. So that would make it 5. We were able to get 5 back in pretty quickly. But 7 of the units took a long, long time. And, so you're talking with them and working with them. So,
right. Man, what a hectic week that was. And you started to kind of explain a little bit, Kevin. I think it would be a little bit helpful. Like I said, this was 47 units under one building. Under one roof in one building, and it's 3 stories. So this happened on the first story, and there's basically 4 sections on each floor. So this was in one section. And one thing we found out is like just how important fire doors are. So there's a fire door in each section. So this hallway, there's a fire door on each end. One was closed, one wasn't. Luckily, the one that was closed was the one that was right beside this unit. So on the other side of this fire door, you could not tell at all that there was a fire as far as the paint now smell and things like that. Sure. But that door, that worked. And the resident, as you were mentioning, she just had a little grease fire in her stove, ended up throwing a blanket on it and got the fire going and just, it took off and it scorched her unit and they got out. That's the obviously the best part of the story. Everybody was fine. Right. She had a little splatter and stuff like that, but she was perfectly fine. Those residents got out. Everybody else got out. But she didn't shut her door, and the unit doors are also fire doors. And so if she'd have shut her door, it literally would have just been one unit. Maybe we would have had to do some cleanup because of smoke and stuff like that. But truly it would have been like one unit, but she ran out, left her door up, which you can understand, but that was important. But it was such a whirlwind that week. And you hit on a couple of things. One was just how many residents it affected. Red Cross, they were able to put all those 12 units up for a week. And that's kind of what they're there to do is, hey, we can kind of do the immediate, we can do 1 week. So we knew we had that for 1 week. Then we started going, okay, because you and I, Kevin, we were so far off. We had no idea. I'm like, Kevin, are we looking at like 2 or 3 weeks before people get back in? Are we looking at 4 or 5? It's more like 6 months. Just and then it was, I remember our insurance was like, hey, do you think this claim is going to be over 100,000? And we were like, yeah, probably. But we thought maybe somewhere in there. And then I remember you being like, Lee, I think it's gonna be more like 250. We're between what, $600,000 and $700,000. So we were just shy of about $500,000 in damages. Okay, so the quotes came in higher than that, but then they kind of negotiated and stuff. We landed okay, 5, but still, 5 times more than we were expecting, and 5 times longer than we were expecting. So that's one lesson. Just buckle up, settle in. It's going to be a long process, but that first week was crazy. We got the residents taken care of, but after that first week, it's like, okay, maybe we had the insurance adjuster out again. Like you were mentioning, it's so important to let them lead. I remember that was one thing I kept saying was like, Kevin, don't do anything until the insurance tells us to do it. Cause I just had this fear that we do something and then the insurance would say, you guys messed up. You shouldn't have done that. You were kind of explaining, it's almost like don't contaminate the crime scene. Like you couldn't do anything, especially to that kitchen where the fire happened. We couldn't do anything to that. So it's so frustrating because as apartment owners, the number one thing on our mind was how quickly can we get people back into their living space, their home, right? How quickly can we get them? 1, get their stuff to them, but 2, get them back in. And so I remember in that first week just being like, okay, how quick, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then it was just like, it's not happening. That getting people back into their home, it's just not really a realistic option. So coming to the end of that first week, we were kind of starting to figure out who we were going to work with. So we'll get into that a little bit more, but then also with the residents, Kev, it was like, they're not coming back anytime soon. Those 7, like you said, we had 12 out for a week, got 5 back in because they were on different floors, stuff like that, got the electric turned back on. But we knew there's 7 that are not going back anytime soon. Those 5 in that section, and then 2 right above where the fire happened because it knocked out their electric and it was not coming back on anytime soon. So talk a little bit about like, then what do you do? How are those 7 covered, and how did we take care of those 7 people?
This is some of the most important things that we've learned through this journey is what about good insurance, right? So here me and Lee we're freaking out. We're like, oh my gosh, like, what's going to happen? One of the big things is, you're stressed about, you have a group of investors, you just had a fire. What are you going to explain to them? You have no idea what's going on. You're trying to figure all this out on the fly with the help that you have. But having good insurance from the resident side and from our side, from, the owner side, is super key. So we were able to talk with our insurance company, and then we get something that's called lost revenue. So lost revenue is paying for what that resident was paying that was living in that building monthly until you can rehab this. The reason why I say that this is so important is because then that takes a lot of pressure off of, Lee and I to really get these people back in. You're stressed about making, money and things of that nature. So it allowed us to give our residents more options. So we really said, you have the option to, get your deposit back.
Yep.
We'll cut the contract. No fees, no nothing. You can go
get February's rent back as well. Obviously,
February's rent. Yep. Yeah, February's rent back. We wanted to really make sure that they had some options. The second option was we could relocate you inside, another one of our buildings. So
we're even within that building in the Alpine.
That was one. And then the third one was go stay with a family friend, whatever, until the rehab was done. Basically, one relocated inside the building, one still staying with family and friends,
waiting for their unit to be ready,
waiting for their unit to be done, and then everybody else. We relocated 2 of them. Sorry, one within the building, one with outside of the building,
in another building that we own.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So we did everything that we did, and for us, I mean, the lady that started the fire, you want to be so mad at them and be like, you gave us this big headache, but you got to remember that, hey, it was an accident. Things happen. So that was a big thing for us.
And they lost a lot. I mean, they lost all their
lost everything. Everything.
So you were really good with her, Kev. I mean, on helping her. And I know she felt like really well, honestly loved and taken care of because, I just knew you had so many conversations with her, and we got her set up in another building, a nice unit, nicer than what she came from, a little bit smaller, a little bit less payment, things like that. So really felt good about how we were able to take care of her. So that's kind of the nice thing about owning other apartments, but even within our property management company, if it wasn't one of our units, our property management company manages, 12 to 1,400 in the area. So they could move them to other units and just make that as simple as possible. Because like you're hitting on there, we realized pretty quick that our insurance is not going to cover our residents. It's going to cover us for the lost revenue. So that helps us and our investors be covered, but it does nothing for the residents. So we found out pretty quick how important it is for our residents to have insurance, because it stinks to go to them and say, look, we can give you your deposit back. We can kind of give you a jump on getting another, getting your life restarted, but we cannot pay for all we can't pay to put you up in a hotel. We can't pay for any lost items that you have, because that's why you're supposed to have renter's insurance. That's what renter's insurance is. So our insurance doesn't double cover our residents. That's on them to do. So we saw how important that was. Let's jump into Kev then. So we kind of went through those 3 options that we gave our residents and got all them set up. That was good. That was, again, a big stressor for us in that first week or 2, and getting everybody to kind of where we felt like, okay, we got a good outcome for everybody. Everybody's got a home. They're good. Now we can dig into this. So we kind of jumped in. You mentioned Greater Data Construction. Get into that a little bit about like bringing them out and just kind of jumping through like what the process has been like working with them and getting each step of the process done as we've worked to, restore the building from the fire.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a big learning process, and Greater Dayton has been coaching me through the process, which has been, one of the biggest aspects of hiring them was to educate us, let us know, let us know how you talk to the adjuster, your insurance company, what to say, what you should stay away from saying, things of that nature. And they've been great in coaching us through that, especially me. They came out and just said, hey, this is how we're going to extract the smoke smell, all the debris, all this kind of stuff. This is how we're going to go ahead and do it. So they had a plan. They had all the contacts, the contractors and everything.
Yep.
So, hey, we're going to do it in 2 steps. Hey, it's going to be 200,000 for cleanup, paint, getting it back, so basically they're like, we're going to close off this corridor because as you explained, like it had 2 doors. So we just shut both of the doors, acted like nothing happened, cleaned up the rest of the building, carpets, paint, got the smell out, everything. And then we just closed out that corridor and let nobody come in. So, we could operate as operators like nothing had happened.
Yeah, as much of the building as possible could operate normally. Yep.
Exactly. So they came in, they cleaned everything up was the first step. The second step was then going through, and I'll tell you, the construction process was painful. You got to go in, you got to get your drawings. Nothing came with drawings. So that was 2-3 weeks to get the drawings. Then it's submitted to the city. Yeah. They had to do it. They resubmitted back, submit. And that happened, a number of times. And then they start the actual construction. Everything's approved. Okay, well, now it's approved. Let's go to the insurance. Okay, they got to approve it. It's a lot of back and forth. And that's what a majority of the time is. It's not,
for sure.
Hey, they put it all together in about a month and a half, but it's prepping, getting the city involved, insurance involved, everybody involved. So if you don't hire somebody that knows how to do that, it's going to take
way longer.
I mean, everybody tells us that, hey, we're going lightning fast. This is the fastest anything's done. I mean, the Greater Dayton said, hey, I had somebody, this was like a month ago, Lee, that they were like, hey, we had a fire on New Year's Eve. It hasn't started yet. And he's like, whatever you guys are doing, keep doing it. And I can contribute that to getting to know the adjuster personally and professionally because, they know, like, and trust me. So that helps, move things along. They're not double and triple checking all of your things. Same with Greater Dayton construction, right? So if you give them clean, concise, like details of what you want, hey, they can move fast, very quickly. The painter gets in there. They know what paint, we store all this information so we can regurgitate it. And if we didn't have all this information, it would have taken a lot longer.
Our second learning lesson is just work with professionals, work with people that know what's going on. It just takes me back, Kev, like even thinking about property management. I always tell people like it's so overwhelming to buy your first apartment building. What really helps is to find a property management company that is really good, because for them, it's no big deal. I remember like when I bought a 16 unit, I talk about it all the time. And then for you and I, when we were buying, our 45 unit, our first syndication, it's like, for us, it is such a big deal. And that's fine. If you're out there and you think like it's such a high mountain, I get it. But when you team up with a property management company and they're the ones that are actually going to manage the property, and for them, a 16 unit, a 45 unit, heck, a 200 unit, no big deal.
Yeah.
Then you just feel like it just takes off so much pressure, so much stress. You're like, okay, this is a big deal for us, but it's not for our partner. And it's our partner that's really doing the work. It was the same thing working with a company. This is what they do. Like, this is such a big deal for us. For them, it wasn't. They're like, talk with your adjuster once you get everything through him. So they saw, okay, Kevin's put all the legwork in here. He's gotten the adjuster out. He's done these steps. Yep, we're good to start. Yeah, great point there. And you kind of mentioned just all the approvals, all the inspections. I mean, that's what takes time. I don't think we said, Kev, that we're recording this on July 28th, so end of July. So, gosh, we're coming up on, is that March, April, May, June, July, August? Yeah, literally coming up on 6 months. We've been told from the beginning, mid-August, and it's looking like we're actually going to be on track. And it's really a testament to you, Kev, how hard you've pushed, because you've been the one that's owned this process. And again, we've talked to people that had fires before we did, and they still haven't started because maybe it's their relationship with their insurance company. Maybe it's failing to go out and get a partner that really knows how to handle fire restoration. But we've really pushed, and 6 months seems like forever. but it's really fast in insurance world and fire restoration world, and we're getting there toward the end. Going through all that, I mean, we can't. You mentioned we had to clean the building, we had to paint the entire building. We are actually going to replace the flooring, the carpet in the entire building. So, and then we're going to get those new units. And kind of the neat thing for us and for our residents and for our investors is because we've gone through this massive headache in this fire restoration process, we're going to come out ahead with a really nice looking building, with a building that's got, new flooring throughout. It was actually just painted. So having the whole building painted really did nothing for us. We had literally just painted the entire building. But of the 5 units that are getting fully renovated, only one of them had been renovated. So we are getting 4 units renovated kind of for free. I mean, it's massive headache and sure there's a one deductible, but basically we're getting 4 units done for free. So man, what a crazy process. I would say, feel free to reach out to Kevin and I. We'd be happy to go into more detail if we can kind of help you get through your process. But Kev, let's just leave the listeners with 3 points. We've kind of mentioned a couple of them as we've gone, but what are kind of the 3 biggest lessons that we've learned through this entire process?
Absolutely. So I'd say the number one thing is get your insurance correct. I mean, if you do not have a good insurance broker, reach out to us. We have a great one. You have to build a good team around you. And if we didn't have a good
100%,
team, we would have been up,
you find out real quick, hey, when disaster strikes, that teammate, that part of your team, they're super important. And maybe you wanted to kind of skimp on your insurance bill because it hurts your cash flow and it hurts the value of the property. Yeah, don't do it. And number 2,
it kind of goes with good hire experience. Greater Dayton Construction, they're the pro in fire restoration and fire cleanup. Our insurance guy does insurance. Our property management does property management. Did all the calls for us. Everybody needs to own their bucket, and they have to have the experience in that bucket and be the true professional. And if that's the case, you're looking really good.
And what would you say is the third and final lesson that we learned?
You got to politely push. And it was kind of just what you were saying. It's like, hey, I got to get this from this person because this person needs this and they're not connecting. So I need to be the connector, and bring it through the process. The adjuster, right? You're gently pushing because the adjuster, it goes deeper, right? So you have your broker, your insurance company. Well, then your insurance company hires another company to go out and be the adjuster trying to figure all that out. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, you were in small claims. Now you're in large loss.
I forgot about that. Yep.
It's like you're moving through all this kind of stuff. And these insurance companies, like most people, they're understaffed, overworked,
so
you have to use extreme caution on how you communicate and how you gently kind of push things through the process. And you got to kind of see what kind of work you can do to make their life easier. Like if they send you a report and it's filled out a certain way, guess what? The report I'm sending it to them, it is going to be a duplicate of that. So that way they don't have to do any work. So it's more hours, more work, but it saves us weeks and months to get stuff approved and done. So you're finding all these little things, and you need to listen to the adjuster, understand what they're saying, find a solution to it, bring in your right aspects of the team and be that middleman, and then get all that information and make their life easier. Now it's like I send them an email and it's like approved. You have to politely be aggressive in pushing and listen and understand to what's happening. So that way you can be that piece to bring it all together, to push it forward. And that was key.
I think a perfect example, Kev, I remember one time we were talking and like, I forget if it was the adjuster or somebody else at the insurance company. I think it was somebody else, but like you had already emailed them maybe multiple times. So they knew what we needed from them, but they weren't doing it. And everything was waiting on this. And I think you and I were talking, and I was like, dude, just call them or whatever. And so you called, they picked up the person that you needed to have do something. But you were polite about it. Hey, know you're busy. Just wanted to call, just, kind of wanted to see where you're at. Again, knowing like this person knows what we need. They already have multiple emails from us. And I remember them saying like, you know what? While I got you on the phone, let me go ahead and just do it right now.
Yeah.
It's like it got done that day only because, number one, you called, even though we had already emailed. It was like, that's pushing. But at the same time, you were polite. That could have went on for weeks, but it got done that day because you politely pushed. So another great one. So kind of working with professionals, it starts with insurance. You got to have good insurance because when the day comes, you're going to regret it if you don't. You've got to have, and beyond just having a good insurance policy, it really helps to have a good insurance broker that can, again, help lead you through the process, can be that team member for you when the time comes. And then when you go get that company, I think it makes so much more sense to go get a company that is expert in that area and is going to manage the whole process. That's going to be your all-star, your quarterback for this part of it. That's going to be a huge team member for you and be the quarterback through this process. And then the whole time, your job is to politely push. Just keep shoving paperwork from one to the other, making sure people will have what they need. Like you've said multiple times, Kevin, also just making sure you can be somebody that they can trust. Hey, when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make your lives as easy as possible so that, I make it easier for you to move us along, but also maybe make you want to move us along a little bit more because we're easy to work with. You enjoy working with us. So those are the lessons. We kind of mentioned too, a lesson. It's just going to take a lot longer than you think. It's going to cost way more than you think.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're still dealing with this. But yeah, again, the cool thing is we were able to get our residents a good outcome. Thank God nobody was hurt. We were able to get everybody into a good home, a good outcome for them. And now our building's going to be in a really good position. And, to top it all off, we feel really confident that, at the end of the day, our investors are going to do well because we got through this. We got a really good outcome from a negative thing like a fire. So, man, what a mess, what a headache. What a 6 months it's been, but man, because of the hard work, if you're willing to push through problems and find solutions, then you often get paid off that. You get to make money. There's a return on that investment that we've made. So, crazy experience. Thanks for jumping on and going through that again, Kev. And thanks for all the work you've done for us here at Threefold and all of our investors that are involved in that project. Because again, we're all going to do well because it's going to be a good outcome. And for anybody that follows us, LinkedIn, Facebook, things like that, we'll definitely have pictures up. We're excited to show people the end result of our fire restoration there at the Alpine.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lee.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Yeah,
See you, Jeff.
Thank you for joining us for another great episode. I hope you'll take action on what you've learned today. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider leaving Lee a 5-star rating and review. And check him out on threefoldrei.com. Until next time, 1 Timothy 6:17.